Hi everyone, this is Eden of LightCycleAstrology.com, and today we are doing Mantic Monday episode number 23, taking a look at the astrology for this next week ahead between February the 12th and the 18th of 2024. This is most decidedly the most interesting and important or powerful astrology during the month of February. And we'll take a look at the 5 things that I have to watch out for based on the fact that both Mars and Venus are entering the sign of Aquarius and making a conjunction to Pluto. Next week, Venus and Mars will conjoin each other. So this week really is a very intense buildup towards this Venus-Mars conjunction in Saturn's daytime Aquarius sign that seems to have some omen of intensity or bringing in the hidden dimensions of things as these two planets are getting closer to a conjunction. So we'll get into the 5 things that I have that may appear as themes or archetypal omens that present themselves as the week goes on and these planets enter Aquarius. Of course, when you have Pluto in the mix, you always get that transformative kind of energy that is built into things cropping up from deep cathartic places. So we'll take a look at the timing of these transits before we get into it here with the themes to watch for. Now, of course, if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe, hit notifications so you don't miss any videos. If you're coming back, thanks for tuning back in. You can always go to my website, lightcycleastrology.com, if you're interested in getting a reading from me. The website will tell you how we work with clients, the types of techniques, and the ways in which we 1 to 2 clients a week. So there isn't that much of a wait time, and the prices are pretty affordable. So if you're interested in a reading, finding out about what may be coming up for you personally, you can always check that out at lightcycleastrology.com. Okay, well, let's pull up the real-time clock and take a look at Tuesday when Mars finally crosses the threshold between Capricorn and on into Aquarius here. And this happens really, I have the real-time clock set to London, so this is kind of central timing here. But we're looking at sometime Tuesday morning, Mars entering the sign of Aquarius. And then you'll see that, of course, Pluto is at 00 degrees and 44 minutes of Aquarius. So immediately Mars enters this sign and begins to be within that 3-degree range of engagement to Pluto, right? So immediately things really get spicy quite quickly and the intensity ramps up. Now, if you weren't taking into consideration sign boundaries, you could, like if we go back even a day before, like on Monday, you'll see that, you know, Mars at 29 degrees and 16 minutes of change of Capricorn and Pluto at 0 degrees 42 minutes. That's still within that 3-degree range of engagement, right? But according to the practices of ancient Hellenistic astrology, until both planets are co-present in the same sign, they wouldn't look at that as a conjunction. Now, personally, it's sometimes hard to tell whether that matters or not. Sometimes you can feel the energy in the air even before planets enter signs and become co-present. But it's hard to tell because we also are seeing that Mars, as of last weekend and on into the beginning of this week, is going through that anaretic degree or through the bound terms of the malefic that is at the end of each sign. So in other words, planets traveling through the end of signs, usually there's kind of an intense feeling with that because they are transitioning out of that temple and into the next temple. So there can be some intensity as planets go through the end of signs. So it'll be hard to know whether the Mars-Pluto union that is already really close even before Mars enters Aquarius is sort of being felt or is palpable somehow or noticeable somehow, because you won't know whether to chalk it up to that sort of end sign intensity that usually comes along, or whether it's the close proximity that Mars has to Pluto. Be that as it may, by the time we get to Tuesday, it's definitely in effect for sure. It's less than 3 degrees. Now, we also see this week that the sun is going to be heading towards Pisces. So the sun is in that last decan of Aquarius. But we'll have a stellium of planets here as the week goes on for a brief time, or like there's a window where there's 4 planets going to be in this sign of Aquarius. So whatever house Aquarius is occupying in your natal birth chart based on your rising sign, I would definitely recommend just looking at that house and assessing and saying, wow, there's a lot of energy happening in this house, and what topics is that house associated with is going to be really how you might dial this in for you personally. But anyway, we have Tuesday, Mars enters Aquarius, and then exactly, and I mean precisely to the minute, 24 hours later, Mars makes a conjunction with Pluto. So Wednesday, we have the Mars-Pluto conjunction. And then by the time we get to, let's see here, by the time we get to Friday, we're going to have Venus enter Aquarius now. And it's going to be the same story where Venus, Pluto, and Mars, they're all within 3 degrees of each other simultaneously. So this is really when Venus sort of enters the party, and it's like, wow, there's a lot of potent energy happening in Aquarius. The sun is still there, Mars, Pluto, Venus. There's a lot of intensity. Now, one thing that I struggled with when I was thinking about things that may appear from the astrology or be reflected by the astrological omens of the sky is that when you think of Aquarius, you generally think of a more cool disposition. Venus and Mars in Aquarius can often be more detached or a little bit slower. It's Mars's usual sort of reckless or quick reactiveness is a lot slower in the sign of Aquarius. It's more thoughtful. The same is true of Venus, where Venus, of course, represents things that are desired or pleasures that are had, that are enjoyed. But those things can be a bit more cool, or a bit almost like detached. Like I can enjoy that, but I don't have to have it. So one thing that I struggled with understanding this combination of archetypal energies that are forming in the sky this week was, how do you see this normal sort of more cooled down, detached disposition from these planets that are generally representing some pretty passionate and pleasurable things, while also being so close to Pluto, which indicates that there's intensity? So it's like, are you casual about who you date and sleep with, or are you very intense about being casual? It's sort of like it's kind of like with Pluto there, it's like there's this casualness or detachedness, while simultaneously there's this underworldly, hidden, secretive, volatile, eruptive kind of energy. So it's hard to understand like how you get both at the same time, but that's exactly what this is sort of portending, if you will. So that is, by the end of the week, we have Venus entering the sign of Aquarius and immediately being co-present and working towards a conjunction, or being within the range of conjoining bodily with both Mars and Pluto. And then if we roll the real-time clock forward to Saturday, Venus conjoins with Pluto. And then, even though this is technically stuff we'll take a look at for next week, we'll just go on to Saturday here. By Saturday, we have Mars already sort of separating out from that conjunction with Pluto, getting beyond that 3 degrees of engagement. And then on into, let's see here, we have Monday, say, of the week after this week, we have Venus sort of leaving that 3-degree range of engagement to Pluto. So the energy is slightly diminishing by Monday. And then we are essentially going to see Venus and Mars form their conjunction together in Aquarius by Thursday of the week after this week. So that is, I'm only including that this time around because it's sort of connected to the story or plot line of what's happening this week that is building towards next week. So that is essentially the timing of what is going on now. Now let's take a look at the archetypal themes that may appear. We'll sort of look at this from a few different angles, and I'll try to articulate what this is entailing for us. Now, I will give you a heads up. My skills of articulation, I have noticed, have not come easy to me since Mercury has been under the beams of the sun and is sort of being maltreated. I've had a little bit more of a harder time using my mental skills or my articulation skills. So I don't know if you guys have noticed any of that out there, but I will do my best. Anyway, theme number 1 is going to be cathartic conflict and makeup sex. And I have in parentheses or reconciliation. So if this theme number 1, it could apply to romantic intimacy within the context of relationships, but it doesn't have to. And we'll say that if it's like friendships or family ships or anything like that, it could be that we're seeing reconciliation in place of makeup sex. But what this is that you see Mars entering Aquarius and then forming a bodily union with Pluto. To me, that is a pretty clear sign that fighting or conflict may happen, but it's almost as if you want to say it's potentially a good thing. It's as if there were matters that were, buried or festering underneath in the dark places in the underworld. And it's like, until you get that stuff out, there can't be any healing or fixing of problems within relationships. So even though, we all would prefer probably to avoid conflict and fights and things like that, and this could be one of those really intense knockdown fights, but it's almost like the intensity has a potential to be so impactful that it really purges a lot of things that need to come out. And then with Venus entering the sign of Aquarius and also going through that bodily union with Pluto after Mars goes through the union with Pluto, it gives that kind of omen that is Venus entering, and is there some kind of intense makeup or intense reconciliation, some kind of really almost like a breakthrough where it's like, okay, we discharged all of the unpleasant things that have really been causing conflict or fighting, and now is there a way for healing to come about? So issues that have been sort of lurking below the surface come out. There's probably, some pretty volatile stuff that's happening, maybe some shouting, all that kind of stuff. But then at the end of it, there is some pretty deep cathartic reconciliation, or in intimacy, it could be, that kind of very passionate, deep Plutonian kind of sexual energy that sometimes married couples have when they have big fights and then they have makeup sex. So that is theme number 1. Theme number 2 is going to be intensity pushing the boundaries in relationships or creativity. This one is a little bit different because we are thinking or we're looking at this conjunction between the lovers, the planets of passion and desire, creativity, willpower. We are looking at this taking place in a Saturn sign. And so Saturn is a god that sits on the threshold of boundaries. He either can sort of look out beyond the boundary of something. We get this, of course, because Saturn in ancient times was the last visible planet before they discovered Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, right? Saturn was this faint, distant planet, and it moved very slowly. So it was considered to be sort of on a god of the boundary, or a god of the in-between worlds, if you will. It sort of had this vantage point of being able to look out into the infinity beyond, into the stellar cosmos, and so it has this great reaching perspective that really is almost boundless, which is where you get some of the really cool creativity that Aquarius people often exhibit, right? Where they have this really far-seeing ideas, or like futuristic kind of thoughts, and they'll say stuff that's really ahead of their time a lot of times, or they're thinking or inventing things that are really far beyond where society is currently, and so they have that really far-seeing imagination or creativity. So with Mars and Venus getting together in this sign, and Pluto there, it's like, Pluto can be a planet of searching, a planet of discovery, a planet of intensely looking or trying to discover something, going into the depths in the hidden realm. So I wonder if there isn't something that says, we're going to push the boundaries. We're going to sort of try to get at something beyond where we are currently, almost as a way of saying, are things outdated, outmoded? Should we, bring in some innovation or inventiveness? And this could be within relationships. So this could be, how can we make changes to our relationship that will give it sort of some kind of evolutionary, power? How can we be together and do so in a way that is somehow being more than what we are, or refreshing what we are in kind of an experimental way, or something like that? So you get things like, I hate to say things within like the modes of sexuality, but you could definitely see with these two planets that are connected with sexuality, you could see things like, polyamory, or unconventional kinds of sexuality that is sort of outside the norm. But it doesn't have to be sexuality. It could just be something social, or something collective. I hate to say cult, because you almost get a little bit of like the cult-like things here in more the darker extreme version of this, where, like this could be an inspirational moment where people that are prone to like having a cult-like mentality really connect with interesting futuristic ideologies, and perhaps as a couple or in relationship, maybe there's a group of people that come along at this point that sort of stimulates that interesting pragmatic, or far-reaching, outside the box, outside the boundary gates, kind of pushing of the envelope of who you spend time with, who your friends are, how you relate to each other sexually or romantically. All of those things I sort of wonder if there's kind of this interesting thing around discovering things in sort of an intense way that sort of pushes the boundaries. And this could be within relationships, since we're talking about Venus and Mars coming together, or it could be in creative things that you do. So if you're an artist or you create something, this could also be a way where there's a lot of creative. It's almost like there's this creative cauldron is really intensely being in a place that you can push the boundaries of how you normally create. So if you're a writer, it's like writing things or about topics that you've never written about before, that really is kind of a new thing for you. Or, if you are a sculptor, being able to sort of almost push past your limits and really sculpt something that it was almost unimaginable, or has that emotional connection that is just somehow really outside of where you normally fit in with. So I like this second one for this really amazing potential for discovery, intensity, and sort of pushing the boundaries, pushing the envelope around things like relationship, creativity, even social things. Just, Aquarius is a very social sign. So when it comes to hanging out with friends or family, are you talking about more interesting things and pushing the boundaries of those relationships in that dimension as well? So that is theme number 2. Theme number 3 is going to be mining the hidden and taboo for passion dash pleasure. This is kind of related to theme number 2, but this is when we look at the realm of the underworld, there can be the richness that is waiting to be discovered in the unconscious, or even sometimes I notice with Pluto can represent the legacy of work that has been left behind by geniuses that are no longer alive. So it's almost like the wealth that comes from the people of the dead, right? But you get that realm of Hades coming in, and are we able to access or mine something of wealth and value from this hidden dimensional world? And is it about something we're passionate about or something we take pleasure in? Also, because Pluto is in the sign of Aquarius, a Saturn-ruled sign, we get kind of not just the hidden realm that may be mined right now for those passions or pleasures, but also things that are maybe taboo. So you get that, like, is it okay that I am passionate or find pleasure and take pleasure in this taboo thing? There is definitely that dark, underworldly, hidden, and taboo realm that I think is accessible right now, that we come into contact with, that provides a powerful sort of transfiguration around passion and pleasure. So that's theme number 3. Theme number 4 is going to be transformative cauldron of libido. I wonder about when you see Venus and Mars coming together in Saturn's sign of Aquarius conjoining with Pluto. I wonder if you get one of those concrete delineations of things transforming around the sex drive or libido. Doesn't have to be just libido, because libido can be used for motivation. So, for instance, just simply getting into a really incredible workout regimen and feeling good in your body and feeling your strength return to you and things like that can add kind of that passion back into life. And so just because Pluto is always a god that is associated with transformation, at times you can see real transformation around vitality and energy and just health, or things that are inspirational or things that you're passionate around. But of course, that could all be coming around in a physical way where, are you able to be more healthy in reproductive ways as well? I wonder about that. I wonder if there is some kind of corner that is turning, or something that is stabilizing and becoming more solid. It's like your libido is getting healthier, growing, and becoming really strong and solid at this time. I'm using the word libido because it can relate to, physical vitality, but it also can be spiritual vitality as well. But I think that there is kind of maybe this transformative potency that could be adding to some kind of new season of libido. Okay, and theme number 5 we are going to say is changing beliefs about society and romance. This is kind of a big topic. This is one of those Aquarian kinds of collective societal topics. So not everybody will resonate with this one, but if you have an interest in politics or in society or in anything that has to do with the humanities, I guess you could say. Aquarius is that sign that is opposite to the sun's sign, and the sun sign of Leo tends to represent the one, or the Godhead, right? It represents the sun being the leader and the king or something like that. And Aquarius can often represent, and Saturn's rulership over this sign can often represent the opposite of the one, which is sort of the many or the collective. And of course, because the light is becoming stable after the winter solstice and growing towards the springtime, Aquarius is often concerned with these universal or collective societal level ideas. And it is a sign that has very far-seeing ideals about what is the perfect way to do this, or what is the perfect image of society. How do we go forward and make it better than it is now? All of that kind of stuff. So this could be a time for people that have interest in humanity kinds of things, whether that's the environment or economics or social things, whatever it is. Venus and Mars getting together, going past Pluto, sort of suggests that for people that have that philosophical kind of interest, that there could be changing beliefs around how society should be forming when it comes to romantic things like relationships, or like, for instance, marriage. Is marriage antiquated, or do we need to get back to marriage as being really understood as more of an old-fashioned thing that was good for society, right? People often get divorced, and in the past, in the symbolic golden age, there's this ideal that says, well, maybe society has lost the value of what marriage is really supposed to be about. Then again, Aquarius could look at it and say, that's an antiquated, outdated idea. Maybe two people should, think about being together for only as long as it makes sense to be so. And maybe we don't need to take these vows of like death do us part and honor thy husband and all. Maybe all of those things are sort of antiquated. Maybe even just being with one person is antiquated, right? It's not what I personally believe. I leave that up to you guys to believe whatever you want about the role of things like romance and relationship, maybe even intersexual dynamics in terms of how men and women attract each other, or have dating rituals. But there is a lot of this out there in everything from the manosphere to the red pill to all of those things, where society is kind of going through a transformation writ large. And we seem to be in a crisis as it pertains to some of these questions that have to do with relationships and romance and sexuality and all of those things. And of course, Pluto and Aquarius, we're all wondering if those things are going to shape society in a very futuristic way. For instance, AI algorithms, or, sex bots and all of those things. But that whole world around all of these, what people think about all society and sexuality and romance and pair bonding and all of that stuff, sort of encapsulates with this one. And with Pluto there, the reason why I included this is because I could see people sort of going through that real deep transformative process of discovery, where things shift around about what they think. And of course, how we understand our place in society, how we understand how society is or ought to be. Those are all personal for each one of us, but we, individuals all being put together, we form the kinds of society that we're going to see in the future. All right, that's what I have for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you guys have a great week. We'll be back again next week, and we'll take a look at that Venus-Mars conjunction that is happening in the middle of the week. That is all part of the story that we're talking about this week. So take it easy, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.